1950th Tisha B'Av, since Gurden Bayesheni, V'anachnu lo noshanu. The avoda of this night, Bocho Shivke Balayla, tonight was kavua for crying, Bechia Shel Mamish, Bechia Ledoros, in place of the Bechia Shel Chinam that took place by the Midbar, the Chetam Raglin. The main crying is at night. The same thing with Eicha. The main crying by Eicha is at night. Main mitzvah of reading Eicha with a bracha is only at night. The very opposite of Kriyas HaMegillah. The main Kriyas HaMegillah is in the daytime. The nighttime is only a takana de Rabbanan. The daytime is from Anshe Knesset Hagdolah, Midivrei Nevi'im. The Ikar mitzvahs of Purim are also in the daytime. Daytime is a time of action. It's a time of a hubbub when things are doing. Nighttime is a time of heder, absence, lack of substance, lack of doing. Purim represents things that happened substantive in the world. By Yehudim, Hoysa Ora, V'Simcha, V'Sasom, V'Ikar. And therefore the mitzvahs of Purim, the Ikar, take place in the daytime. Tisha B'Av is a day of heder, what's missing, what's not there. And therefore the Ikar crying, is at night, and the Ikar Eicha is at night. What was the crying Shel Chinam that we are trying to correct? They cried, they thought that the Rabbanu Shalom abandoned them and hates them. They're going to die in conquering Eretz Yisrael. They have nothing. They felt totally abandoned. The emes was that it was all imagined, hallucinated. The emes was that they had everything, and the Rabbanu Shalom was with them. And we're in the opposite situation. We have very little, even though we think we have a lot. But the Ikar things in life are missing. We don't have a close relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which we could have if there would be a Beis HaMikdash, if there would be Hashras HaShechina. We're missing many of the important things in life. And the truth is that we have one thing, though, that they thought they didn't have. And that was that the Rabbanu Shalom never abandons us. And Imo Amnochi B'Tzara, even in Golus, the Rabbanu Shalom is there with us. And there's never a reason to give up hope, and there's never a reason to feel that the Rabbanu Shalom abandons us. And that's the Bechia Shel Doros, which is Mesaken, the Bechia Shel Chinam, to feel that though we're missing many important things, but Lamaisa, the Rabbanu Shalom is with us and there's hope. We never should feel abandoned and never feel hopeless. Especially in our generation, where we have Eretz Yisrael, and we have Gashmias, Shefa Gashmi. But what's missing is Kavod Yisrael in the world. The world hates us. You haven't noticed? Klal Yisrael's Kavod is to the ground. We are very much vulnerable to all of those enemies around us and all over the world that would like to obliterate us. And the Ruchnius, even here in Eretz Yisrael, is at a low ebb. The powers to be are not mechabed Torah and mitzvahs, or lomdei Torah. And the HaRav is very strong. with all of the Yetzer Haras of technology, and our children are going off the derech, and not only children. So we have a lot to cry for. At the same time, we have a lot to realize that the Ribono Shel Olam is still there for us, and there's a lot of hope. In addition, aside from all the things that we're missing, the entire world is diminished. Biggest proof is when Tisha B'Av falls, like this year, on Motzei Shabbos, and we fast, is the biggest siman that something's missing. The Mishnah says that in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, when they were koveya ta'aniyos, for instance, for lack of rain, so there were some of them that were full day ta'aniyos, like Tisha B'Av, like Yom Kippur, but they never scheduled a tainus on Sunday. The ta'aniyos always started on Monday, never on Sunday, because going from Shabbos to a full day tainus was dangerous, was life-threatening. So they never made a tainus on Sunday. We're starting a tainus, a full day tainus. If it will be life-threatening, how could the Rabbanan permit it? Sakonas nefashos. Why? Because the Mishnah is talking the time of the Beis HaMikdash. In the time of the Beis HaMikdash, Shabbos was a very, very strong, intense, and going from a Shabbos like that to a full day fast day was life-threatening. But since the Beis HaMikdash has been destroyed, the entire world, spiritual world, physical world, has been diminished. And Shabbos isn't the same Shabbos anymore. And therefore going from a diminished Shabbos, like we have now in the time of Golus and the time of Churban, the contrast is not that great to go into a full day tainus, and we're able to do it. That in itself should remind us of what our situation is and how desperate it is that we're missing all these intense ruchniistic things. Yom Kippur is not Yom Kippur, and Shabbos isn't Shabbos, and Yom Tov isn't Yom Tov. And all the mitzvahs have been diminished also. We are living, tomorrow we'll speak about it more, in the time of Ikvus of the Mashiach, time where many, many Gedolei Yisrael say that the time till the Geula seems to be very, very short. We're living in the times of Chevlei Moshiach, the last throes of Golus, which are probably the worst throes of Golus. They started already years ago and include perhaps World War I and World War II also. Speak about that more tomorrow when there's more time. It's already late and no reason to keep people here extra time. But Lamaisa, even with all of those sorrows and Chevlei Moshiach and Ikvus of the Mashiach, and even though the Vilna Gaon says that after the Churban we're dead, but Lamaisa, as long as our neshama is still connected, we may be on a life support system, but we're still alive, and there's always still hope. So that's what we say when we say vidui. Through all the chatoim, lo shavalon, wasn't worth it. We didn't gain from it, just the opposite. With all the chatoim and all the golus, it's like we have nothing. But we have one thing for sure, and that's the bechia ledoros. Whatever we don't have, the Ribono Shel Olam still is there with us, and we still have hope. And that's what they didn't feel they had in the Midbar, and even though they had everything, they lost hope, and they felt abandoned. And even though we may not have many of the important things of life, but we do still have hope and have that reliance that ein lanu lihishoyin ela avinu shebashamayim. We have nothing else to depend on. At least we can depend on the Ribono Shel Olam. So with that in mind, we're going again, once again, for the 1,950th time. Sit on the floor here and read Eicha and the keynotes tonight. Hopefully by tomorrow morning, Mashiach will have come. If not, we're going to sit on the floor here again. And say keynotes and Eicha. But if Lamaisa, we still have that hope of Chakelo b'chol yom sheyovo, Shipisa Yeshua. That's going to be what we're going to talk about in great detail tomorrow. That Indian of Shipisa Yeshua. So Mirz Hashem, if we have that, then that in itself will be a reason for the Rebbeinu Shalom to bring the Geula as quickly as possible. We'll be able not to have to announce that this is the 1,951st year since Churban Rabayis, but next year we'll be able to announce this is the first year since Binyan by Shlishi, the V'yaskol Tzedek and Herov Yonei.
All right.